Yesterday on 100 Huntley Street, David Zaharik fell off his sailboat into the frigid waters of the Georgia Strait between Vancouver Island, British Columbia and the mainland. No one knew what happened to him. He was sailing alone. Even worse, he was not wearing a life jacket.
The thought processes were so fast, so rapid, that I knew the seriousness of the predicament as I was going over. I knew if I hit the water, I'm dead. Oh, Lord.
Still, a voice inside told him to swim, so he began the 5-mile journey toward Main Island, the closest tract of land.
You could only push a human body so far. I was all through my pectorals here from pulling continuously. The muscles were just screaming in pain from exhaustion. And same in my groin from doing the frog kick, just screaming in pain. And I would try to rest for a second, but I couldn't because I would sink.
More than 2.5 hours into the swim, his body began shutting down. With the sun set and glasses gone, David didn't know where he was or how much farther he had to go. Although he wasn't giving up, he knew complete loss of consciousness was only minutes away.
Right at that point, I heard the water breaking on the rocks. Although I couldn't see it, I figured if I could hear it, well, then I'm really close. I remember stopping and treading water, poking my head up, like a seal, go, cocking my head, go, and I hear a splash. I do hear the waves. I am going to make it. Well, right at that point, I gave this huge kick underwater, and that's when I separated way up in my calf, or my Achilles tendon joins way up here, and it separated in my leg. And the pain was excruciating. I've never been stabbed, but I imagine that's what it felt like. I remember I went under, I screamed so loud, I went to comfort myself, like grabbing an injury. I got about this far, and I just said, no, don't even think of it, get swimming. And that rush of pain and adrenaline completely cleared my brain.
Wow.
That went from this narrow vision to all of a sudden, whoa, I'm back. And I swam like crazy, and within 20 minutes, I'm touching the sandstone, and with a real sense of relief.
Though he was finally out of the water, he wasn't out of the woods.
Now I had this 60-foot cliff I had to climb, and I'd never climbed a cliff. Without glasses, I can't see. Luckily, it wasn't vertical. It was probably about between 50 and 60 degrees. And I just, by the grace of God, every place I put my hands, there was something to hold on to. Every place I put my feet. That's another thing that no one could really understand is, how is it that I had dexterity after being that cold?
But no sooner had he made it up the cliff than he was on his way down once again.
I fell into that ravine that we just went by. I tumbled into that ravine. I had to crawl back up this side, and I stayed crawling right in the tree line because I was really hypothermic and disorientated, and I actually thought, what I saw in my mind, I actually thought I was right on the shoreline, but I wasn't. I was up, what is that, 30, 40 feet up, some places maybe a little higher, and I was crawling through the deadwood right on the rock face. So you see some of the places, it's virtually cliff face. I could have slipped and just fallen to my death.
The temptation to sleep was overwhelming.
I just said, no way. You lay down, you're going to die of exposure, and I just forced myself. I remember saying, no, just keep going. I was my own drill sergeant, yelling at myself to motivate myself, because I knew at the end of the point was active pass, and I knew right at the point was a lighthouse with a helicopter pad, and I knew from just my own life experiences that I was in serious medical condition, and I'd need an airlift to get to a hospital really quick or I was going to die.
After crawling for an hour, he came to a chain-link fence surrounding a cabin. Hope was finally within reach. Unbelievably, though the lights were on and the windows open, nobody answered the door. So David limped toward the next inhabited house, 2 doors over.
I came up at 10:30, 10:45 at night, knocked on his door, bleeding, coughing, soaking wet, filthy in mud, all hunched over, unable to walk with my left leg. And I couldn't speak because by this time I'd been yelling so much. So I remember walking up to the door thinking, okay, so what do I say? Help me?
Help me.
Excuse me. So I remember just taking the tip of my finger and just tapping on his screen door just as he walked by. And he was kind of, Good grief, what happened to you?